Have you ever put on an audiobook, got swept away into a fantastical world, and suddenly realized the laundry's done, the dishes are washed, and somehow you've driven 200 miles without even noticing? That's the magic of a truly great science fiction or fantasy audiobook. It takes the ordinary and makes it disappear, pulling you headfirst into an epic adventure. Let's take a look at some really great ones I've experienced today. Hey there, everyone. I'm Jim with Fantasy for the Ages, the father of the father-son duo who bring this YouTube channel to you, featuring fantasy, science fiction, horror, and other nerdy things that we enjoy. If you're new here, welcome. If you're returning, you know the drill. Hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't done so yet, and hit that notification bell so you never miss our content. And of course, a huge thank you to our Patreon supporters. You are the ones who keep this channel thriving. If you'd like to join them and grab some exclusive benefits, look for the link down in the show notes. Now, you might notice if you're a regular viewer, this is not my usual setting around me today. I'm on the road, off in an Airbnb that has pretty decent Wi-Fi, so I believe this is going to record. And I happen to have an episode ready, so it's time to talk. Today's episode is a little different. It's about something that has truly changed the way I experience stories. Back in early 2021, my daughter suggested I try Audible. I wasn't so sure at first. The only audiobooks I'd done before that was when they were kids and we're driving places and we had CDs that we could put in the car player. It was a very rare experience, not something normal for me. But she said, Audible, you can get a subscription. Then, you get one every month. And I'm like, all right, I'll give it a try. Game changer. From then on, audiobooks became part of my daily rhythm. Now I am always enjoying an audiobook, whether it's through Audible or Libby, getting them free through my local library. That's a score. While also, I've got this audiobook, yeah, but then I'm also reading something on an ebook, typically Kindle, but again, sometimes Libby, and a physical book. So I've got 3 different things that I can work on at the same time. But it's the audiobooks that I can do anytime, anywhere. I mean, nothing makes a treadmill feel less like torture or a stack of dirty dishes vanish faster than a good narrator breathing life into a story. If you've done audiobooks, you know exactly what I'm talking about. The best narrators don't just read, they perform. They make characters leap off the pages, bring whole worlds alive, and make time itself fly by. Driving, working out, folding laundry, all the mundane stuff just becomes an excuse to spend more time in another universe listening to this great story. So today I'm sharing the top 15 audiobook series, trilogies or longer, that I've personally enjoyed more than any others I've listened to. These are the series that combined immersive storytelling, stellar narration, and top-notch production quality into an experience that kept me listening through the extra miles of exercise, more house cleaning than I planned, and even driving around the block a couple times to finish that chapter. If you've been looking for what to binge next, I recommend all of these. First off, I'm going to share my honorable mention. Dungeon Crawler Carl, the whole series by Matt Dinneman, narrated by Jeff Hayes. This is lit RPG, dark comedy, sci-fi fantasy mashup, started in 2020, and it's an ongoing series. Humanity is thrust into a deadly game show after Earth is destroyed, where Carl and his cat, Princess Donut, must fight their way through bizarre, often hilarious, and frequently brutal dungeon levels. The series blends over-the-top humor with sweeping stakes. Each book layers absurdity and tension in equal measure. I have adored these books, binged all through what's currently out there. The reason it's honorable mention is I actually read these. I've been told the audiobook is incredible. I dabbled with the first one, and I get it. But my son and I have a plan here. He's going to do them on audio, and then we're going to do an episode together based on our different perceptions. But I had to give them a mention because they're some of the best audiobooks out there. Jeff Hayes, his dynamic narration, witty banter, the blend of satire, gore, and genuine heart, he just brings it alive and keeps listeners hooked. I have listened to Jeff Hayes on other audiobooks, so it's no shock that this delivers. But my top 15 starts with, at the bottom, because that's how I do it, The Witcher, the whole series by Andrzej Sapkowski, narrated by Peter Kenny. This is epic sword and sorcery fantasy. The series actually came out starting in 1990, last book in 2013, but those are all Polish. They were later translated to English, and then audiobook versions came out, which is how I consumed them. Geralt of Rivia, a monster hunter known as a witcher, navigates a continent teeming with war, politics, sorcery, and destiny. Alongside Ciri and Yennefer, he battles not just monsters, but the corrupt systems of men and mages alike. The saga mixes grim violence with biting humor and Slavic folklore. Peter Kenny's narration, he brings such depth and personality to every character, making this already legendary series even more immersive. Number 14 for me is the Night Angel trilogy by Brent Weeks, narrated by Paul Bamer. Dark fantasy, assassin fantasy. These books came out in 2008 and 2009, just bam, 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 and the audiobooks are right behind them. Azoth, a street urchin, apprentices to Durzo Blint, the most feared assassin alive, though the term they use for them is wet boy. Love that word. And then Azoth is thrust into a world of shadows, politics, and ancient magic. The trilogy follows his transformation into a new persona, Kylar Stern, a man torn between conscience and survival. It's a tale of blood, sacrifice, and what one will do to escape fate. Paul Bamer's narration amplifies the grit and emotional punch, while fans love Weeks' mix of brutal action and heartfelt character arcs. It's sweet. Can I say it's sweet when it's so dark? Yeah. Number 13, The Wayward Pines trilogy by Blake Crouch, narrated by Max Myers. This sci-fi thriller mystery came out 2012 to 2014. Secret Service agent Ethan Burke stumbles into the idyllic town of Wayward Pines, where nothing is as it seems. The more he investigates, the more he uncovers dark truths about the town's purpose and humanity's survival. It's a paranoid, fast-paced thriller with a chilling sci-fi twist. That twist, man, and there's more than one. Good stuff. The suspense never lets up in this series, and Max Myers' narration heightens the eerie atmosphere that makes it impossible to stop listening. Number 12 on my list is The Axe of Cain by Matthew Woodring Stover, narrated by Stefan Rudnicki. Grimdark, sci-fi fantasy, hybrid, it's really hard to pin down this series. First book came out in 1998, Heroes Die, and there's 4 in the series, the final one coming out in 2012. Cain, a brutal assassin and anti-hero, is really a media star in an entertainment system in a dystopian future where murder is broadcast for views, for ratings. His journeys take him into another world where he struggles against gods, empires, and his own broken morality. The saga is part adrenaline-fueled action, part existential reflection. This is deep stuff. Stefan Rudnicki's gravelly, commanding delivery matches Cain's intensity. I hear this voice, and this is exactly what Cain sounds like. And listeners adore the blend of brutal combat with philosophical depth. If you've never read The Axe of Cain, I don't care how you do it, get into it. But I did enjoy the audiobooks. Number 11 is the entire First Law series by Joe Abercrombie, narrated by Stephen Pacey. This is grimdark fantasy starting in 2006 with The Blade itself, and 9 books later, 2022, it wrapped up. I'm not counting the short story collections, because I haven't read those yet. Set in a brutal world of politics, betrayal, war, and magic, The first law introduces unforgettable characters like the torturer, Glocta, the barbarian, Logan Ninefingers, and ambitious soldiers and mages who shape the fate of nations. It's witty, violent, deeply human, and what you think is happening is often not the whole story. The standalone novels and the sequels expand beyond the first trilogy in harsh, cynical ways. This is not a warm and fuzzy universe, trust me. Stephen Pacey is a fan favorite narrator who nails the dark humor, irony, and grit of Abercrombie's writing, elevating the listening experience into legend. Number 10, the Silo Trilogy by Hugh Howey, narrated by Edoardo Ballerini. Post-apocalyptic dystopian sci-fi series. These books came out 2011 to 2013. Humanity clings to survival in an underground silo after the outside world becomes toxic. But secrets about how and why they're there begin to unravel as engineers, sheriffs, and rebels uncover the truth. It's tense, emotional, endlessly thought-provoking, a great mystery that you get to unravel. Edoardo Ballerini's narration captures the claustrophobia and hope of the silo world, while the series delivers one of the best modern dystopian sagas. And a great TV adaptation now, but don't do the TV show until you've done these books, and I recommend the audio. Number 9, Rhaenyra Revelations by Michael J. Sullivan, narrated by Tim Gerard Reynolds. Epic fantasy, grand adventure story. These books came out 2008 to 2012. You can buy them as a trilogy now, but technically they're 6 smaller books packaged as a trilogy. Royce Melbourne, a cynical thief, and Hadrian Blackwater, an idealistic swordsman, stumble into a grand conspiracy that spans kingdoms, gods, and history itself. Their friendship anchors an adventure filled with wit, danger, and heart. It's classic fantasy with a modern, accessible flair. Our Patreon supporter, Emmeline, is the one who connected us with these, and she was so right. Thank you, Emmeline. Tim Gerard Reynolds, he is a boss in the world of narration, and his narration here, it's just iconic. Fans say it feels like the definitive voice of Rhaenyra, and the banter between Royce and Hadrian, the way he brings that about is just so re-listenable too. Number 8, The Undead World by Peter Meredith, narrated by Basil Sands. Yep, this is zombie apocalypse horror, a dystopian story. Came out 2012 through 2020. There's quite a few books, I think 15 books in the series. It's a sprawling saga of survival, betrayal, and resilience in a world overrun by zombies. Meredith follows diverse characters as they struggle not only against the undead, but also against the cruelty of other humans, as happens in a zombie apocalypse. This story is dark, brutal, and unflinching, but with moments of humor and tenderness. And not many of those. Basil Sands brings raw energy and grit to the narration, and each of these characters, he brings them to life so wonderfully. So as you're listening, you're getting sucked in, you're believing what's happening, and therefore the balance of gut punch horror with deeply human storytelling lands beautifully. Number 7, one of the more recent audiobook series I listened to was the Indian Lake Trilogy by Stephen Graham Jones, narrated Book 1 by Kara G, and then Book 2 and 3 by a full cast. This is horror, an homage to the slasher movie genre. The books came out 2021 to 2024, so very recent. Jade Daniels, a horror-obsessed teen, is forced to confront real-world terrors when her small town becomes the setting of an actual slasher nightmare. The trilogy blends love for horror films with generational trauma, survival, and resilience. So some pretty deep themes. It's as much about healing and identity as it is about bloody violence. Kara G and then the full cast productions elevate Jade's voice into something unforgettable. And fans love the mix of meta horror commentary with real scares. I have recommended the series to others, and everyone who's checked it out so far has enjoyed it as much as I did. Number 6, it's fantasy for the ages, guys. You know what we love. The Wheel of Time by Robert Jordan, completed by Brandon Sanderson, and the version narrated by Michael Kramer and Kate Redding. Epic fantasy, sprawling from 1990 to 2013. We're talking 14 books plus a prequel. The saga follows Rand al'Thor and a vast ensemble cast as they battle the Dark One and fulfill ancient prophecies. It's a sweeping tale of magic, politics, prophecy, and friendship. Jordan's intricate world building and Sanderson's conclusion make it a cornerstone of modern fantasy. Kramer and Redding are audiobook royalty. Their voices practically are the Wheel of Time. And they bring consistency, gravitas, and life to this massive series. Though, as a side note, they didn't always know how to pronounce things, so as you listen through the series, early books will say places one way, and then it settles into a real pronunciation later on. It's actually kind of funny for those of us who are longtime fans. Number 5, Zombie Fallout by Mark Tufo, narrated by Sean Burnett. Zombie apocalypse, but also a horror comedy. I laugh so much when I enjoy these books. They were published from 2010 to 2025. The series just ended this year after the 25th book in the series. Michael Talbot, a sarcastic everyman, navigates a zombie apocalypse with his family, dog, and sheer stubbornness, along with found family he connects with along the way. It's irreverent, hilarious, and bloody in equal measure. Along the way, Talbot faces not just zombies, but vampires, mutants, and so much more. Sean Burnett nails Talbot's sarcastic voice, as well as these other unique characters that as soon as you hear them, you can see them in your head. And I adore the mix of humor and horror that keeps the apocalypse surprisingly fun. Tufo writes it, Burnett delivers it, and you gotta check this out. Number 4, the Red Rising series by Pierce Brown, narrated by Tim Gerard Reynolds, who was already on this list for the Rhaenyra Revelation series. This is sci-fi dystopian space opera. Began in 2014, and the series is ongoing. We're waiting for one last book. Darrow, a lonely red laborer, infiltrates the ruling gold class of a color-coded society to spark a revolution that is so needed. The saga evolves into an interstellar war of politics, loyalty, and betrayal. It's brutal, fast-paced, and endlessly surprising. Tim Gerard Reynolds gives one of the greatest performances in audiobook history here. His Darrow is legendary, and fans love the mix of emotional stakes, clever twists, and non-stop intensity. I was thrilled to have him as the narrator here since I'd already enjoyed him with Rhaenyra, and he does not let you down. Oh, hey, top 3. Here's my biggest. So number 3 is The Extinction Cycle by Nicholas Sansbury Smith, narrated by Bronson Pinchot. This is military sci-fi, post-apocalyptic horror. Series came out 2014 to 2017. Now that's the main series. There are multiple books in the series, and then there are spin-offs that follow, and they're all good. A genetically engineered plague unleashes horrifying mutants that threaten the entire planet. They could easily wipe out humanity. Special forces and survivors wage war to reclaim the planet. The series blends science, horror, and relentless military action. Bronson Pinchot's narration is gritty and immersive. And I love the mix of realistic military detail with edge-of-your-seat apocalyptic storytelling. Second best series to highlight here for me was Helldivers, also by Nicholas Sansbury Smith, but this time narrated by R.C. Bray. Post-apocalyptic sci-fi survival series. This started in 2016, and the final book came out in 2024. So the series is done, but there are now additional stories in the world that Smith continues to write. Centuries after nuclear war, humanity survives aboard airships, sending helldivers down to the deadly surface for supplies. Xavier Rodriguez and his crew brave radiation, monsters, and betrayal to keep civilization alive. The saga is tense, cinematic, and constantly upping the stakes. And I do mean cinematic. We need to see this brought to the screen. R.C. Bray, famous already for The Martian, gives an unforgettable narration in the Helldiver series, and the mix of heart-stopping action with emotional character arcs makes it so binge-worthy. I'm jealous for you. I had to wait as these were coming out. You can do them all now. Boom, boom, boom. But the number one audiobook series that I'll recommend is one that's done and waiting for you, The Remaining by DJ Molay, narrated by Christian Rummel. Post-apocalyptic survival thriller, published from 2012 to 2016. A government survivalist program activates after a devastating outbreak, leaving Special Forces Captain Lee Hardin to restore order or die trying. The series is raw, gritty, and filled with moral dilemmas about what it means to rebuild civilization. Hardin's journey is brutal and deeply human. And I said the series is done, but there's more to it because there's a sequel series, the Lee Hardin series, which is also done. Another 6 books, I believe. So lots to enjoy, all narrated by Christian Rummel. And Rummel's narration perfectly matches the tense military tone. And I love how this balances pulse-pounding action with emotional depth. Well done. So those are my top 15 audiobook series that I've loved binging, plus a recommendation for the honorable mention. What about you? Have you listened to any of these, and do you agree with my picks? Or do you have another series that blew you away on audiobook? I'd love to hear about it. Drop your thoughts down in the comments. I'll enjoy seeing what you're enjoying. And again, if you haven't yet, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell so you'll be notified each time new content comes out nearly every day. And if you'd like to support what we do here, Zach and I, consider being a Patreon supporter. You'll find that link below. That's it for today. Thanks for joining me on Fantasy for the Ages. I'm Jim, and as always, we appreciate you watching. We'll talk to you next time.